We're told in life to stop and smell the roses, or similar idioms, giving ourselves time to unwind, take in our surroundings, to pay attention to the finer things in life. It's the same in video games, that sometimes if we're so hell-bent on rushing to that end goal that we pass by some interesting finds. It may be that the world needs saving, sure, but you're the master of your own destiny. You do it on your time. You never see Ganon destroy the world until Link rocks up, do you? So you may have been in such a hurry that you didn't notice an NPC was possessed by something that didn't look right. Your ears might not have picked up some very deliberate foreshadowing and a particular song choice in a certain game about time travel and paradoxes. Even on a smaller scale, you might not have tried exploring your nasal passage with something not designed for that purpose, or helped yourself to a bottle of wine just to mess about with an artist. It just goes to show that some developers really do think of the little things, as these examples you might have missed will open your eyes up to. I am Kirsten from WhatCulture Gaming, and these are 10 unnecessary video game details that you'll love. Number 10. Flip-flops actually flip and flop. Grand Theft Auto 5. It's been said before and it will be said later on this list, but Rockstar are undoubtedly masters of their craft. At least when it comes to adding the wee little things we'd normally miss in games. Like footwear, for example. More often than not, it's just a fancy adornment for our characters to wear. Unless of course you're playing a role-playing game and they have different stats or whatnot. In GTA, however, they serve as a fashion accessory. No more, no less. So why should we care? Well, Rockstar do, as they make sure the little details don't get missed. Which is why, true to life, flip-flops, or thongs if you're an Aussie, don't stick to the soles of your feet. Instead, they actually flip and flop with each step. Going one step beyond, you actually see them progressively wring water out with each step if they get wet. Again, to some it might be a pointless addition, but it's what makes the developer a cut above that they actually pay attention to the worlds they've built. Number 9. You can blind enemies with flashlights. The Last of Us. In our fantasy and science fiction worlds that we invest in, it's easy to get swept up in the suspension of disbelief and grounded reality. So it's always nice to see when a game still pulls us back to the realistic notions that we tend to take for granted. Sure, there may be a fictionalized human pandemic based on the cordyceps fungal infection, but that doesn't mean we aren't human, the game seems to say. And true to life, humans don't favour having bright lights beamed into their eyeballs. Whilst there are scripted moments where characters shield their eyes from the sun, for example, that's just part of the mocap's actor direction. But if you take it upon yourself to deliberately shine a torch into an NPC's eyes, they'll reactively squint at the ocular intrusion. Keep the beam on them and they'll start to turn their head away, or even bringing their hands up to shield their eyes from the harsh light. It's a great caveat that really shows off the human aspect of the supporting characters when the rest of humanity has gone. Number 8. Music swaps between stereo and mono to match Link. ZELDA: A Link Between Worlds. The Link Between Worlds is a beautiful game on the 3DS, as well as holding a rare privilege of being a sequel to the seminal Link to the Past from the SNES days. It needed a unique gameplay edge though, which it delivers through the ability to merge onto walls and navigate onto a 2D plane. It's a great mechanic utilised in many of the game's puzzles, as well as a core concept to the story. But that's not all. If you're playing with the volume off or low, you may not have noticed, but whack it up or stick some headphones on and you'll hear something really cool. See, when Link is moving around in 3D, the music is in its normal stereo, rounded quality. Yet when our hero pastes himself to a surface, the score sounds tinnier and thinner. It switches from stereo to monaural, signifying Link's warp from the 3D to the 2D planes of existence. Sure, it may not blow your mind, especially if you don't care for background music in games, but that it's acknowledged will show you the level of craft in every Zelda game. Number 7. Foreshadowing songs. BIOSHOCK Infinite. BIOSHOCK Infinite is an engaging adventure in time manipulation and predestination, with that typical flair and narrative twist the series is known for. You may have noticed while exploring Columbia that there are some anachronistic songs being played or sung. Quaint, you might be thinking, as it fits the theme of Infinite's time travel / portal shenanigans. However, look a little deeper. Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun portrays Elizabeth's desires to be free and explore the surrounding world, getting involved in all the festivities. The Beach Boys' God Only Knows being sung by a barbershop quartet? Quite innocent, surely. An a cappella rendition of a classic? Yet it actually foreshadows the events that have led to Columbia's creation in the first place. For without Booker, there is no Comstock. The lyrics are quite literally saying God only knows what I'd be without you, for without one there wouldn't be the other. So for first time players it wouldn't go noticed. It's only when the truth is out that it was in your ears this whole time. Number 6, an incredible use of 3D, Metal Gear Solid 3. 3DS edition. It's been said many a time that Hideo Kojima likes to add little tweaks and quirks that go the extra mile in games, usually unnoticed, like ice cubes melting in real time or Snake's horn shrinking or growing in Metal Gear Solid 5. Now, for many who played it back in 2003, Snake Eater has a turning point when Snake's eye is destroyed about midway through. Players were quick to notice first-person view adapted to this wounding by limiting your vision. Yet when it was ported to the 3DS in 2012, it'd be easy to write it off as a port with some handheld gimmicks bolted on. For the most part, it is, with touchscreen implementation for CQC and item use. All in all, a fairly straightforward port with a 3D gimmick attached to it. However, when Snake's eye is shot, going into first-person view disables the 3D effect. It's not a bug, it actually plays into the damage and limited visibility that Snake subsequently has to endure. Very clever indeed. Number 5, To Kill a Mockingbird and Time, The Darkness. Gaming veterans will be aware that in games like Grand Theft Auto, Max Payne, Metal Gear Solid and many others, you can interact with television sets and web browsers for interesting effect. Some of these include their own universe TV shows or parodies of real-world shows, like Twin Peaks, The X-Files and panel/chat shows. Yet up until the release of The Darkness in 2007, no other game had let you watch an entire real-world movie in a game. But that is what you can do. Watch all 2 hours of the 1962 movie adaptation of To Kill a Mockingbird. Why this film in particular? What parallels does a film about societal prejudice and racism draw against a man with demonic tentacles that eats hearts? Answers on a postcard if you know this one. Logic aside, it shows the level of affection our hero can show his girlfriend Jenny by affording his time to do nothing but relax with her, as any boyfriend should, really. Gangster come avatar of darkness or not, which really makes it poignant when she dies later on. Number 4, Nose Picking, Quest for Glory. Back in their prime, Sierra was one of the biggest and best producers of point-and-click adventure games. Against the likes of LucasArts, the two have produced many a fine narrative journey throughout the decades, including the Quest for Glory series. Predating the Fallout series by roughly a decade, it was a series renowned for its wit and humour as much as it was for its adventure and storytelling. Cited as a genre-defining game and eventual series, it's renowned game from the level of immersion and choice players had in the game, like picking your nose, for example. Being a game based on text commands, you could equip a lockpick and attempt to pick a lock, surprisingly. But should your humour lie that way, you can opt to pick your nose with it instead. Should your intelligence stat be high enough, you'll be delightfully informed that your nose is now open. However, should you not be clever enough to navigate a thin piece of metal up your hooter, you'll give yourself a cerebral hemorrhage. That'll teach you to try and outwit the game, dummy. Number 3, Clumsy, Silent Hill. It's easy to look back now and dismiss the fabled tank controls of early Resident Evil and Silent Hill games, as well as their imitations for being clunky. I'm not a staunch defender of them, but they're a relic of their time, as is terrible voice acting and bad FMV. Many a game who have been careening into walls or objects of varying height due to non-existent turning circles or the impulsive need to inspect everything. But it does lose the gravitas of horror when your protagonist is rubbing his face along a wall. So it was nice to be surprised when Harry Mason would brace himself from hitting a wall too hard or trip down a small flight of stairs. It showed the fallibility of a man who wasn't a macho badass, just someone on a frantic quest to find his child. Of course, tripping over whilst running from horrible beasties is standard in this genre, but it was nice to see it implemented to a degree. It meant that Harry is your responsibility, not just a clumsy Burke. Number 2, Wine Paradox, Dishonored. Many were quick to dismiss the choice/morality system in Dishonored as another binary, boring ending generator. Yet whilst that might be slightly fair of the endings, there are some other factors that you can manipulate in the game. They can be quite large choices, like what you can do to your targets in whether they die or are removed otherwise, that affects the course of the game. How you shape the fate of the future depends on your attitude to those who wronged you, in the grand scheme of things. Or you can just dick about with them first. Near the start of the game, the as yet to betray you Campbell is having his portrait painted by the artist/inventor Sokolov. The chap has a decanter of wine next to him that you can help yourself to. Nothing more, nothing less. Can't preemptively crack him over the head with it though. But if you take this away, you'll notice it doesn't appear in the paintings as it would if you'd left it alone. It's only small, but a great piece of continuity and causality to mess about with. Number 1. Arthur loses his skill. Red Dead Redemption 2. Be warned, there will be mild spoilers here. In the rootin' tootin' world of gunslingers and outlaws, there's a lot to be said about how you carry yourself. You can look like a scruffy ne'er-do-well, or you can look like the part with all the shiniest gear, but it all helps if you can talk the talk, not just walk the walk. So you may have discovered that if you double tap the holster button when you've got a pistol in your hand, Arthur does a little flourish before putting his piece away. It's a neat little touch backing up his credence as a top gunslinger. However, all this changes when our reluctant hero contracts tuberculosis later on in the story. It was an unexpected turn for many, but doesn't affect gameplay too heinously. At least not so much in the early stages. But you'll notice that Arthur no longer does the spinning move anymore. It doesn't seem like much and will largely go unnoticed, but Rockstar are great at little nuances like that. I guess style doesn't matter when you're dying. And that's our list. What do you think of these little details? Leave us a comment below and let us know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. But for now, I have been Kirsten from WhatCulture, and I will see you in the next video.